Again, it's a pleasure to be here at Treasure Data, and I'm going to talk today about some of my work at Misfit and Fossil, specifically focused on wearable technology. What I'm showing here is not a wearable that's available for sale or use at home. I wanted to tell you a little bit about my practice. I'm a sports medicine physician and focus on rehabilitation approaches. And what you see here is neuromodulatory electrostimulation. So in my practice for athletes, performers, we use needles and electricity. The figure on the left is actually a scene from The Matrix, where Neo is getting revived. And when I do it in my office, it looks a little bit more like the picture on the right. Fundamentally the same principle for folks whose muscles have atrophied, or if you have a nerve or a muscle injury. These types of electrical stimulations can really help speed recovery. And I hope that one day wearables will be able to do this type of rehabilitation, but we're not quite there yet. What I want to talk to you today is about how do we cross a digital divide between where we are with wearables, a relatively small number of folks across the nation and globe using them consistently. How do we leap to the time when wearables are making a really significant difference in our lives, where we're using them every day and they're really useful? And as a physician, I'm really interested in healthcare applications. How can wearables help us go from the current state of healthcare, which is episodic and reactionary? You know, we go to the doctor, maybe they discover a problem. By that time, it's generally fairly advanced. We really want to be continuously monitoring ourselves and others and being proactive with our health. I would say the current state of healthcare is something more like this. I mean, for this gentleman, you know, earlier intervention would have been helpful. We wonder why healthcare costs are so high. It's again because care is episodic and reactionary. And this is a figure, it's very timely. It's from this week. A paper was published in Lancet, one of the Lancet journals. What you see here is the retention of a wearable device among participants over the course of a year. And these are individuals who have essentially signed a contract that they're going to participate in this research study. Some of them are being paid money to be active. They're essentially, they were given Fitbits. This is a study involving Fitbits. And I don't know if you can see here, but by the end of the year, only about 10% are still wearing their device. And the definition of wearing a device for this is, did you wear it one day in the week? If we're talking about wearing it every day, I think it would be much lower. So this is not where we want to be. And there's a reason, I think, for the drop in adoption and retention of these devices. Here's actually an old slide, a lot of different wearable devices. And then the question is, how can we make it stickier? How can we make people hold on to these devices? What if we tattoo it on their skin? Okay, whether that's done very professionally, whether that's done in a homegrown style. This is just a battery, some conductive paint, and a GPS-enabled chip that someone's created their own tattooed wearable. Well, what if we have people ingest the technology? And ingestibles, including this body cap technology, involves swallowing wireless machinery, and then your physiologic data is wirelessly transmitted to a smartphone, and you can monitor what's going on inside. Some have suggested implantables, and implantables are being used in medicine today for sick patients with heart disease, pulmonary disease. Here you see a pulmonary artery catheter. There will be a day where healthy individuals will be using implantables. Actually, just this week, I think it was announced that Google had filed a patent on implantable physiologic monitors. Is this the answer to get people to keep using or wearing their device? Do we need to implant them? Some people have said, well, they need to be more active. We need to shock people with the devices. And Stephen Colbert, I think, was a fan of the Pavlok shocking wrist-worn wearable device. But hasn't taken off quite like they had hoped. And then this is a Think device worn on the forehead, also providing stimulation. But part of the issue with all these devices is behavior change is hard, right? We want people to be more active. We want people to be healthier. And yet we're asking them to adopt a new and bizarre behavior, wearing a device they never have done before, in order to change another behavior. So it's not a recommended strategy from a behavioral standpoint. What if we make a more effective biofeedback loop? And I think this is really exciting. There was a paper, this is a figure from a paper in 2013, where the scientists were able to monitor brain waves of the participants and then play sounds and music while people were sleeping in a format that was synchronized with their brain waves. And they demonstrated that the participants actually reached a deeper level of deep sleep more consistently during the experiment because so it's actually available now. It's called Rhythm. I haven't worn it. You can see that there are some barriers to the adoption of this device. I don't know if you can see, but I like the idea. In other words, we're not just sensing things with the device. We're actually going back and actuating, causing a change in behavior and an effect. So these are some strategies about really helping wearables to cross that chasm and gain mass adoption. But let me take a step back and tell you where I'm coming from. So I've been part of a company called Misfit Wearables for the last 3 years. And we make physical activity and sleep monitoring devices. In January, we were acquired by Fossil Group. But let me actually just say that from the beginning, we understood that there was this inherent tension between a sensor-based design and a user-sensor design. And whereas a lot of folks wanted to put more sensors, and you see here, I don't know if you can see a polysomnography sleep analysis that involves 50 sensors, quite uncomfortable. You get a lot of data, but how useful is that? You can't really bring it in a sustained fashion to the real world. And so our focus was on making devices truly wearable, making them waterproof, not requiring them to be charged so you can wear a device for 6 months at a time, making it easy to use, and also making it fashionable so people enjoyed wearing it. And we developed partnerships with Swarovski. That's our crystal shine on the right. That's something that she would have worn even if it wasn't tracking her activity. And that's what we're really interested in, and that's what we think will help to bridge that gap. As I mentioned, we were acquired by Fossil Group, the watch and accessory company. And that's been really exciting because we've been able to really take the merger of fashion and technology to the next level. And we think that these two areas really have given birth to a field that's larger than either one separately. At Fossil, we produce devices not only under the name Fossil, but Fossil also owns Skagen, the watch company, and makes watches and accessories, about 50 million a year, under the brands including Michael Kors, Kate Spade, Armani, Marc Jacobs. And what we're working on right now is essentially connecting the fashion watches and accessories for these companies. So we really think this is the evolution of wearable technology, making it something you can truly walk with, live with for the long term. You can put this in the perspective of a revolution in computing that we've seen, right? The 80s being the decade of the PC, the rise of the internet, the mobile device, and now we're in the emergence of the Internet of Things. And this is a group that's, I think, very familiar with the Internet of Things. Wearables as a category need to become more fashionable, but also more functional, and the function of these devices is dependent on there being an Internet of Things, a connected ecosystem for them to function. So whereas the earliest generation of wearable devices just track steps and sleep, we're getting into some really useful functionalities, activating parts of your smart home, unlocking your home, unlocking your car, activating different parts of your life. So So we really feel that the watch and that the wrist specifically, a piece of real estate that people have been happy to wear, fashionable devices on for decades, is a place that will become an important epicenter for controlling the Internet of Things. And we just see, even this week, the emergence of new connected home devices. If you compare this to the evolution of automobiles, right? We've had combustion engine, gas-powered cars for many years. We're moving towards electric vehicles, but it took this in-between stage of hybrids to really get people comfortable with electric vehicles, to bring them into the mainstream, to wait until the technology was ready, batteries were ready, and we feel that that's actually where we are right now for wearables. So what we're launching is a line of hybrid smartwatches, and I'm wearing the Skagen one right now that's being displayed on the screen. It looks like a fashion watch. The battery lasts for 6 months. It's waterproof. You would wear it just as a watch, but it has all the Misfit technology inside. The sensors to track your movement and your sleep, and Bluetooth to communicate with an app on your phone. There's buttons to activate connected devices, and we feel like this is really the way to bridge that divide with wearables. And just because I'm here at Treasure Data, I couldn't give a talk without showing a little bit of data. If people don't wear your device, you're not going to get data on it, right? There's no big data if 2% of people are wearing your device. With Misfit and users across the globe, we were able to collect sleep data on large numbers of folks from different countries, and we're able to see sleep trends in how much are people sleeping around the world. And this is actually some of the first of its kind that this data has been collected. The National Sleep Foundation did a survey of 6 countries, asking them how much folks sleep. That's the only thing we have to compare with. We actually see the same trends in our data that they found in their surveys. For example, folks in the United States sleep significantly less than those in Europe. Those in Southeast Asia sleep significantly less on average than those in the United States, and there's more insights there as well. So we're really excited about people actually using wearables, continuing to wear them being useful, integrated into their life, and we're really interested in the insights that we're going to get from the data. So also wanted to mention that we are interested in any folks that want to join the team at Misfit and at Fossil, especially firmware engineers and algorithm engineers. Feel free to come and talk to me afterwards. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here, and look forward to hearing the next talk.